people, beautiful people, beautiful people. Hello, beautiful people. Hope you all are doing good and hope you all are enjoying from wherever you are in the world. And you're welcome to yet another edition of your favorite Sunday Jangi, your favorite Sunday program, where we go live on Sundays and making sure you're having latest updates and most interestingly, uh, latest updates from different particular topics. So today is a wonderful day, and we are glad to be with you all. And like you all already know it, my name is Wicom, and I'll be with you on this special live edition to handle this wonderful, and outstanding topic: um, trauma, healing, moving forward. Yeah. So those of you coming in, you're very much welcome. Like you all know it is your favorite live Sunday program. And as you come in, it's our culture that when you come in, you drop a comment so we can give you a special warm Sunday greeting from wherever you are. It's a Sunday and it's a wonderful Sunday here in the nation's capital city of Yaoundé. And I'm so glad to be with you all because like you know it, I'm here because you're out there. And it's always a very, very wonderful moment having you all out there and sharing different experiences with you. Like you know it, it's a topic that is very sensitive, and we always have it in the form of a conversation where we have a good number of you coming in. So today we'll be talking about something very, very important. Please, as you come in, do your best to share the live. Share the live, share the live, share the live, share the live to as many people as possible. So we have a good number of you watching. We have a good number of you watching. Let me put some beautiful music while we share the live, and we have a number of you watching. So keep sharing, keep sharing, keep sharing while I do the same here. And definitely, you all are going. No matter where you're watching us from, you're very much welcome. Here's a beautiful music from Rich here. The woman in my dream, la femme de mes rêves. When I close my eyes, quand je ferme les yeux, the one I see is you. La seule que je vois, c'est toi, la femme de mes rêves. The woman in my dreams, the woman in my dreams, is the woman in my dreams, the woman in my dreams, is. You don't know her name. Me no know her face, but she's coming soon. I didn't see her before. I didn't see her before. La femme de mes rêves, I didn't the one I see is you. The one I see is you. La femme de mes rêves, the woman in my dreams. 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 Please do your best to share to as many people as possible. Let's have this conversation, please. Okay, so you're very much welcome, beautiful people. Keep up sharing, keep sharing the live, keep sharing, keep sharing, keep sharing to as many people as possible. And as you join the live, let us know where you're watching us from so we can give you a special Sunday shout out. Today we are streaming from YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and all of these platforms we are streaming at the same time. We are streaming at the same time from YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and all of these social media platforms. Do your best to follow. And today we're talking of something very, very strategic. Very, very strategic, very, very strategic, and it's a very timely one. Well, my people, I can't see all of you connecting, eh? Those of you coming in. Hello, people from TikTok, Bliss Skincare, I see you. I see you all joining. Do your best to power tap, power tap, power tap, power tap. Ade Jage, I see you. All of you connecting, you're very much welcome. Please do your best to share. Share to as many people as possible. Share, let's have this live going. Share. Let's have this wonderful session. Like, it is a session where we're going to be having some very deep conversations with some people that are really deep on these particular topics. Hey, those of you coming in, do your best to drop a comment. Drop a comment so we can give you a special Sunday shout out. Like you already know it, it's Sunday, and anytime it's Sunday, at this time, we are actually live to share wonderful ideas and investing in the life of many people. I see those of you from TikTok. I see Prince. Prince, you're welcome. Please do your best to power tap. Those of you on TikTok, those of you on Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, on Instagram, Facebook, do your best to power tap. Do your best to power tap to as many people as possible. So we have our conversation going in a very, very wonderful manner. Today, I'm not going to be alone as usual, like you already know it. I'm going to be with some coaches that will be here to actually give us some deep insight and deep knowledge on this. But before we bring our speakers today, do your best to actually share. When you come in, you drop a comment. I see some of you connecting already. Do your best to drop a comment so we can give you a special shout out. We know where you're watching us from, and that way we are able to give you some special Sunday salutation. And of course, those of you coming in, you're very much welcome. I see Mandy in TikTok. There are a lot of you connecting on TikTok. Today we're streaming on all the platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So those of you coming in, do your best to drop a comment. And equally share the live. So let's have as many people as possible watching this live, and we're going to be impacting a whole lot of you. Do your best to share, and drop a comment. Let's have this wonderful conversation. It's live on trauma, healing, and the way forward. And definitely, a lot of people, when this topic was sent out, a lot of people reached out. Somebody told me that they are waiting for 7 p.m. to get close faster so they can actually connect to this conversation, and let's have a very useful conversation. Oh, I see Queen Dolene. Hi, Queen Dolene. Greetings to you. They say greetings to all. I'm so excited. Oh, yes, Queen Dolene. Glad to have you. Please, as you come in, do your best to share. Share to as many people as possible. Let's have this wonderful conversation. And of course, like you know, it will have your favorite already who is around, and definitely it's going to be a deep session, sharing deep knowledge on a very strategic topic as this. Those of you coming in, as you come in, you drop a comment so we're able to give you a special Sunday shout out. I know a lot of you have been waiting for this broadcast. A lot of you have been waiting for this broadcast, and this is the time for us to actually have our wonderful conversation. Oh, I see you, Akere Midred. Hi, Akere Midred. Good evening to you, and hope you're doing well. Please, when you come in, you let us know where you're joining us from so we can give you some special Sunday greetings and, of course, celebrate you in a special way. Like you know, it's our culture to actually celebrate all our wonderful audience because we are in here, because you're out there. And, of course, hope you all are enjoying the Sunday. Today is a very special session, like I keep saying it, and it's a session not just like the other regular sessions, but it's going to be a session of healing, a session of deep insights. I see Dani Shoko, I see Mohamadu Unuru. All of you coming in, you're very much welcome. Please drop a comment as you like, share, drop a comment as well so that we can have a very wonderful program. Oh, she's watching from Yaoundé. Hope Yaoundé is okay. Yeah, definitely on my side. Yaoundé is good. And all of you who are joining as well, please do your best to power tap on TikTok. Those of you on Facebook, share. Yeah, I'm doing okay. Thanks, Midred. And all of you who are coming in, you're very much welcome. Please do your best to share. Share to as many people as possible. We have about maximum 5 more minutes to keep the live going before we can actually jump in and bring in our amazing guests. Like you already know it, we're having some wonderful, a lot of you left beautiful comments and you keep requesting. And some of you, when you saw the flyer, you were so happy to see their faces. And we have our guests already, and definitely we'll be having her in a bit. But before we bring our guests to give us, our speakers, to give us some wonderful insight on this strategic topic, do your best to share. Share, share, share. As you come in, you hit the share button. Keep sharing, keep sharing, keep sharing. We have about 5 more minutes to go, and then we jump that deep into the conversation. And of course, those of you connecting now, please just drop a comment so we can give you some special shout outs. I see a lot of you connecting already. I see a lot of you sending messages. My WhatsApp is not Facebook. Those of you sending me message on WhatsApp, come to Facebook now. You're watching me on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and you're sending me WhatsApp. Come to Facebook, okay? Let's have this conversation. Drop your comments so we all can see your wonderful comments and salute you in a special way. Please do your best to drop your comments. Let's have this conversation going. And of course, share, 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 share. Share to as many people as possible. Share to as many people as possible. Let's have this wonderful conversation. Keep sharing, keep sharing, keep sharing, keep sharing. Keep sharing, keep sharing, keep sharing. And those of you coming in, leave a comment so we can give you special Sunday salutations. It's a wonderful Sunday here. And of course, it's been really, really wonderful for us to have a wonderful conversation. This particular topic is something that is actually very striking because somehow, no matter how we put it, a lot of people experience this in different ways. Some people actually seek healing themselves, some just struggle their way to it, and some others stay with the wounds. But what's the right approach? How do we heal? What the way forward? That's what we'll be looking at today. And good enough, we have some wonderful people. And of course, we have Difoniki. Hi, Difoniki. Hello. Glad to have you. Says I'm interested and waiting. Oh, yes. We already have our speakers backstage. Yeah, definitely we'll be getting one by one, and definitely we'll have this conversation really going. I see the wonder. Hi, the wonder, the wonder, the wonder. Glad to have you, the wonder. And of course, definitely, I want to let you know the wonder is a golden concept, which is about discovering young talents and letting them shine. And of course, we're glad to have you, the wonder. We have Ernestine Bofo. Happy Sunday. Oh, great. Happy to be part of this program. Oh, yes, Ernestine. Glad to be with you. And of course, we have Pinky Pretty. Pinky, we are glad to have you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, like you all already know it, whenever it's Sunday, we always have this conversation. And this conversation is about exchanging ideas and raising useful tips that could help somebody, that could edify somebody, that could widen the scope of somebody. And of course, this one for today, the edition we're having today, is all about empowering somebody and getting somebody to the state of healing. Definitely. I want to say special shout out to Queen Odette Gabi. Glad to have you, Queen Odette. And of course, so glad to have you. You all who are joining right now, we are so glad to have you. And definitely we know it's going to be a wonderful moment. Like I told you, well, I'm not going to be alone. Like you always know, I'm never alone. It's always a wonderful conversation, a wonderful session we have that is out to educate, edify, enlighten you on certain aspects of life and strategic topics. So today, like you already know, we're talking on trauma, healing, and the way forward. And ladies and gentlemen, like you already know, we have a speaker who is going to be with us. She's been with us, and definitely your comments say it all. The love and appreciation you give. She's always blessed us with some beautiful insights, some good knowledge, some deep knowledge, widening our scope and making us to see angles of certain things that we have not seen. And it always takes me, anytime I hear this wonderful woman speak, I call her Ma, and definitely anytime I hear her speak, it gives me a notion to this proverb that says the old broom knows the corner of the house. There's so much wisdom, so much deep insight, and so much knowledge that she shares every time. See, if you're just connecting now, start sharing like you have never shared before. Get your pen and paper. You see, anytime I always host a program, I have this. This is my pen and my paper. I always jot as well. So it's always a very wonderful session. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Coach BT. Hi, Coach BT. Good evening and glad to have you today.
Hi, Mr. Wickham. It's my pleasure to be here today, and I'm saying a shout out to our listeners, those who are following us up, and that we just thanking God that we have another opportunity again to share together on this great topic, trauma. Trauma. Yeah,
Oh yes,
everyone, no
yes,
one can refuse the fact that you've never gone through a trauma, some kind of trauma.
yeah,
So
yes. That
today
is
I'm glad that we are taking this topic because from this topic, Lord is going to shift in our mindset and we'll be able to find a way forward. So I'm happy to be here with you today.
Oh, so glad to have you, Coach BT. Anytime I see your presence, I know it's time to grab something very, very vital and something very, very important. And definitely, when we're looking at the topic for today, when we got the topic trauma, it came to mind that definitely a lot of people are victims of these things. I call it survivors. A lot of people have been through trauma in one way or the other, from their homes, growing up, to job site, relationships, different angles. So I want you to help us with this, Coach BT. Can you help us? Let's have some establishment. What is this thing called trauma?
Yeah, Mr. Wickham, thank you. When we talk of trauma
Yes,
in its real sense is that response to life-threatening events.
yes,
The response to life-threatening events that can
yes,
lead to psychological and emotional changes in
yes,
individuals. And
yes,
in reality, trauma can be caused by a lot of things that surrounding the individual. So we have trauma can be as a result of an accident. It can be
yes,
as a result of an injury. It can
yes,
be as a result of the sudden loss of a loved one, and then
yes,
that you were not expecting, or a sudden kind of illness. You one morning you visit a doctor for your regular checkup, and they tell you that you are suffering from one kind of disease that can lead to trauma. And then we can also talk of natural disasters. Yes. So, and
yes,
then the most common one that I think we'll be dwelling on today that actually deals with individuals silently is the
yes.
trauma that is caused by broken relationship. Yes. So,
Oh, yes.
this
Oh,
kind of
yes.
trauma, I think that is going to really be our focus for today. Trauma that is caused by broken relationship, because the other traumas like accidents, natural disasters, and loss of loved
Yes,
ones usually come once a while. But when it comes to relationships, yeah, we
yes,
really have to look into it closely. So that's what
yeah.
trauma is. Just it's a kind of response to life-threatening events that may be overwhelming, may be frightening to individuals.
Yes, yes. Wow, this is really, really wonderful. And if we look at it from the angle of this, from the angle of this foundation led by Coach BT, we would say it is almost impossible to see an adult today that has not saluted trauma in one way or the other. So I want to find out equally, how do we know that somebody is going through trauma or we are going through trauma?
Yeah, for sure. There are signs and symptoms of trauma. And
Yes,
we find when we talk of signs, there are those
yes,
uh, 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 behaviors that you can see them physically, and then symptoms. There are some kind of behaviors that only the individual can maybe explain it to you the way he or she is feeling. So in this case, we have signs and symptoms. I will just group them together. We have uh, situations like confusion. You find somebody is
yes,
confused. The person does not know what to
yes,
do at a certain time, given time T. And then we talk of sadness. You find somebody is just sad, somebody is just carrying that kind of moody attitude. And then we also talk of anxiety. People are usually very anxious. They become so anxious over the kind of things. They agitate so much, such that every little thing they
yes,
agitate. And then there is always this sense of numbness. You see, they just have a lukewarm
Yes.
kind of attitude. And then we also talk of withdrawal. You
Yes.
find somebody that has been socially active in life, and then suddenly
Yes.
the person becomes calm, quiet, no longer visits maybe
Yes.
events that he or she has been partaking in, and maybe the
Yes.
friends, they start withdrawing from this kind of friends. And then you also have some people who would start developing suicidal feelings. They start
Yes.
having those kind of suicidal thoughts. So when you start having people who are like, they are confused, they don't know what to do, they are sad, they are so anxious, they are easily triggered by little things, and then they withdraw. Maybe they just want to be by themselves. You should
Yes.
start noting that might be there is something like that that is cooking up somewhere, like trauma.
Yeah. Wow. And I came to equally understand that sometimes some people gradually get into trauma without necessarily knowing that they're inside trauma. Some get into it and it eats them, it eats them, it eats them, and before they notice, they are actually in a very elevated state in this whole thing. And it becomes something really catastrophic. And one of the ways that I came to understand that we could identify some of these people, growing up, I used to see a lot of people like some of these what we call drunker in Cameroon, what we call drunker. Understand? A lot of them are as a result of trauma. A
Sure.
lot. You see, and there are equally people. I remember when I used to grow up, there was a woman. One mama, she would be walking like that, and a lot of people thought that she was insane. Until a pastor got close to her, and many people finally came to understand that woman was not actually insane. She had trauma. She was traumatized by some situations in life, and I come to understand that the fact that many people in a place like Africa, we have normalized certain things like trauma, such that we are like, you look at trauma, you're like, hello. So, and sometimes we tag this to spirituality. Sometimes we tag it to other issues. So I wanted to find out, Coach BT, is trauma something really? Is it something spiritual or is something that is natural?
Trauma, in some cases, we may not really say it is spiritual, but it can be spiritual that way in a case where somebody is possessed. But trauma, in most cases, comes as a result of the events that happen around the individual. That's some events
Yes,
that you never expected them to happen. That they come to you like
yes,
a shock, that you least
yes,
expected them.
yes,
Maybe in your lifetime, you maybe you've never even thought of it, that this thing can happen to you, and then suddenly you find yourself into it. So that's how trauma can really be. That's how it looks like. It is natural in some cases, caused by events that happen.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. Wow. So it's actually a normal phenomena,
Yeah.
if we get it correct.
Yes, it's
Now,
normal, because in as much as you interact in the society, you interact with people, there are possibilities that maybe you may share different visions, and then some of their actions might uh, lead you to the point where you like, what is happening? And then you begin to ask yourself a series of questions that might lead to trauma.
oh yes. So I want to say welcome to Ayoling, Dr. Linda. So glad to have you. It's really a hot topic. I want to say good evening to you as well, and everybody just joining us. Please, when you come in, do your best to like and share. Like you know it, we are talking on trauma healing and the way forward. And this is something very strategic because in societies like the African society, I would say for African society, I know in the West, they take a lot of time to educate people on this. But in Africa, you will see some certain points, you see people, you see somebody can be traumatized, they start saying, you don't go put your hand for some place. At a
Mm,
certain point, you see somebody traumatized, they start saying, she's insane. You
mm,
see, so if I get it well, it's actually a mental situation that puts
mm,
people in a state of desperation,
mm,
anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
and in a
Confusion.
very confusion. Now, um, there are some key things here. There's something called anxiety, and a lot of the time you might not. We usually use anxiety like being anxious. So when do we know anxiety is becomes a call for concern? When is that point that we begin to say anxiety is a call for concern? Because, like for example, I might be waiting for a family member to this is December. A lot of people be living abroad and coming here, and I'm anxious. I might be waiting for a loved one, maybe a lover to come. I'm anxious. So that's anxiety still, right? If I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken.
Yeah.
Now, when do we know that this feeling is becoming a problem and a call for concern? Hi, Ada. Okay, Coach BT. How do we know
Okay.
this is a concern?
Yeah, that is when you can no longer control yourself. That
Yes,
is when, because anxiety, we could say, okay, you are anxious, you are expecting, you are you have that mind of expectation that something needs to happen, or you are awaiting something, and then it's not forthcoming, and then you become restless. You become
yes,
restless, and anxiety become, we actually now call it as anxiety, or that you are too you become so anxious. It's because
yes,
you put yourself in a state where you can, it is as if you cannot do without that thing that
yes,
you were expecting. It seems as if there is no other alternative.
yes,
Like, if I base on the example that you have just cited, okay, you are expecting, might be somebody is coming and you are looking up to that person, maybe the person will come and help you out of a situation, and suddenly maybe the person tells you, okay, I will not be coming. You develop that sense of frustration because you were
yes,
depending solely on that. So you now become restless. You become confused. You begin to ask yourself, what am I going to do?
yes.
Now you put yourself in that state where you're seeing yourself now that you cannot do without what you were expecting.
Yes, okay, I get the picture. Now, well, Proceed, I want to say hi to Ada, and we have some wonderful people backstage. Like I said, today is going to be very, very interesting, and we're going to be having this conversation in a very, very, very strategic manner, such that we make sure that we tackle everything. Please, those of you watching, if you have questions, you can pose your questions correctly. We have Dr. Linda backstage. Hi, Dr. Linda, how are you doing today? Oh, okay. Dr. Linda is coming very soon. I'm sure she's trying to handle some things. And we equally have one person that you all love so much, and it's been a while we've had him, and we are so glad to have him. Hi, Ambassador, and happy Sunday. It looks like Ambassador is the network is tripping. Hi, Ambassador. Happy Sunday to you. Oh, and that notwithstanding, we equally have yeah, the network. You see, when it's rotating like that, it means a network. That's the beauty of this wonderful place that we are in. Definitely. Now we have Live Spell. Hi, Live Spell. Happy Sunday. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Good day. Happy Sunday to you guys, and I'm doing good. Glad to be on stage with you today.
Okay, so glad to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have Ambassador. Okay, hi, Ambassador. Good evening. So glad to have you today.
Hey, yeah. Good evening to you, and good evening to the sets. It's been a while, Wikong. And today, when
Yes,
I saw the caption, I said
yes,
I would like to give my little contribution, because this is a topic that a lot of Cameroonians neglect, either due to ignorance, you know, which is really, really, really deep into our society, and we have to talk about it. And our only two way that we know trauma is very, very important. Once again,
yes.
thank you for having me.
Okay, okay, great. Okay, great. You're very much welcome, Ambassador, and we are so glad to have you. Now, let's get to Coach BT. Coach BT, like we're saying, we're having this conversation. Now, what are the things which could be a beautiful remedy for someone that is going through trauma? Let's use the case of a trauma from relationship, for example, because I think that is one of the greatest, the most rampant one we once we have in today's society. A few weeks ago, a young lady took away her life because it was alleged that she became pregnant, she got pregnant for somebody, and later on there's a story like the guy who didn't accept the pregnancy or whatever happened, and she was having issues in the house, and before we noticed, the young vibrant child, she should be 21, young girl, the young, vibrant girl whose parents might be expecting something meaningful from her and all of that, finally took away her life. So, what are the primary things which you think somebody suffering from trauma could quickly do, or the people around that person could quickly do to help remedy the situation?
Yeah, Mr. Wickham, I think, as I said, if they are smart enough to notice the signs and the symptoms of trauma, which have to do with confusion, sadness, anxiety, withdrawal. And I think withdrawal
Yes.
is usually very, very significant and visible. If the
Mm-hmm.
people around the person is they are smart enough, they'll be able to
Yeah.
identify that something is going wrong. And I also said
Yes.
some of the signs of a trauma, they are suicidal thoughts. So, but
Yes.
before the person actually gets to that point of suicide, thinking about committing suicide, uh, there must have first
Yes.
of all been some of these signs that I've mentioned here, like withdrawal.
Yes.
The person is sad, somebody that has maybe been all over the place, and then you suddenly find there is a sudden slow quietness indoors. So once we notice this, we have to know that there is something that is wrong with this person, and so they have to at least step in now to start. If there are people who are close to, they should at least start asking some questions so that they can identify what is the problem, maybe the source of the trauma, and see how they can manage the situation before it goes out of hands.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Coach BT. And I see some contributions coming from Ernestine Mbafo. Welcome, Ernestine. You're so glad to have you. We have Rhoda, who says good evening. We have Adara says praying, confiding in a trustworthy person, finding other ways of fulfillment, learning a new skill. We have engaging in sports, meditation, avoid being alone, write your thoughts in a diary. Now, thank you so much, Ada. And I want to find out from Ambassador. Ambassador, please, what are your thoughts as far as trauma is concerned? What can you comment on this trauma, which is called trauma on its own?
We can this topic, like I said from the very beginning, is a very important topic, and we have to talk about it with the best of our ability. First of all,
Yes.
Cameroon itself is a place they call it Le Continent. It is a continent of trauma. The whole country is traumatized. Everybody in the country is traumatized. Let me tell you something. When one of my elder man came from the United States, he came here. He said everybody here seems sad and everybody here is so angry. People are just so angry. You see
Mm-hmm.
sadness in people's faces. You know, you don't really
Mm-hmm.
see that happiness, you don't really see that joy and so on. That is the
Yes.
society, unfortunately, that we find ourselves. Listen, I want to take a simple
Yes.
example for a layman to understand. You get into a taxi, the taxi driver is not friendly, he's traumatized, he's frustrated, he has his own problem. He talks to you as if You and him had a problem before you boarded his taxi. You go to meet a
Yes.
buyer seller to buy jama jama, is the same thing. If you have,
Yes.
these are little signs to tell you that a society is suffering from trauma, and frustration.
Yes.
When you go even to a bar, wherever you go, you see
Yes.
people, you want to get something, it's like you have a problem with people. People are just so, you see violence in them. That is because
Yes.
the society where they find themselves has a major problem. For people who go to offices, you get into an office, you want to talk to an administrator. It's like you are the one that gave him a slap yesterday. It's the same thing you see everywhere. Husbands and wives in the house, the same problem. Little thing, they have picked fire. So this is a very, very
Yes.
important problem that we have to solve in our society. But unfortunately, people don't see it. Problems like this come in society where there is a lot of poverty and
Yes.
economic meltdown. A country where people cannot meet up with their basic necessity. A country where you meet 10 people on the road, nobody can guarantee you of health security tomorrow. If you meet
Mm-hmm.
somebody, you say, if you are sick tomorrow and they need 100,000, are you sure you can help yourself? People don't have. People move on the street, they don't have house rent. People have rent, they don't have school fees. The problems are just too many. There is frustration. Now, the frustration has now entered into relationship. It could be
Mm-hmm.
what you call romantic relationship. It could be family relationship. And suicide has
Mm-hmm.
become the order of the day. And we will see
Yeah.
more and
I get it.
more and more of this because as days are going by, the society is becoming more difficult. When you have a society where people cannot meet up with their basic needs, with their basic, just the basic, it's like, you know, they are living in hell. You don't expect such a society to have smile. What will cause a young girl to go and maybe kill herself or a young man to, because he's thinking, this child I'm carrying, how will I feed the child? How will I send the
Mm-hmm.
child to school? It's all due to poverty. It boils down to poverty. There is nobody who has money that is angry. There is nobody who has money in his bank account. He can meet up with his basic need that is suffering from trauma. Money answereth all things. So therefore, the principal reason why you see most of this frustration that is happening, you know, is because of poverty. Poverty has eaten so deep into the fabric of Cameroonians. But unfortunately, a normal Cameroonian is a pretender. Cameroonians are people who pretend, they have pride. They don't want to show you. They will cover it. They will try to, they would like to make as if everything is okay. But everything is not okay. I have said,
Yeah.
go on the street and ask your friends, ask how many of you can boast. Listen, let me tell you something. I was talking with some young people today, and I told them, your parents, your father, your mother, they got married. Most men got married in their 20s, 24, 25. In the days of Ahijo, they got married early. The house that your father had, he built that house even before he got to 35. Go and find out. But today you have adults that have gone to university, they have come out, they are still living with their parents. Tramadol is their comfort. Trau.Ma and music is what they can hold on to. There is frustration that is so deep. All of these things that you hear that girls are not getting married and so on, people can are able to put up a family, is poor. The answer is poverty. Once an economy is stable, you have a government that can make sure that there is social cohesion, there is guarantee for people to come out of school and they can move, they can have jobs, they can work. Go to simple countries like Rwanda. You see young people getting married in 22, they are getting married 23, they are getting married, they are starting up a family because their environment is conducive enough for them to have those things. And you see them smiling. Today, you speak young Cameroonians, they are sitting somewhere, might be drinking, everybody's on his phone in his own frustration, struggling to queer down his own problems. It is a country full of frustration.
Yes.
Frustration too much. So it is this frustration which you and I cannot solve the problem. Let nobody deceive you. It will take a government, a very solid government, and a good economic policy that can guarantee people, welfare, that can give youth hopes, that can make people to know that, no, tomorrow, even if I'm sick, I have an insurance card, I can go to any hospital and I'm treated. Tomorrow, if I'm suffering from a kidney disease, I can go to any hospital and I'm treated. But when you are living in a land where there is no guarantee, there's no assurance for tomorrow, any kind of trauma can just carry you and hit you down. And unfortunately, every day we are going down. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Ambassador. Thank you for bringing us to another line of where we are looking at trauma and based on geographical location and some social, economic, and political things. A lot of people are traumatized, and that is one thing which we see in today's reality. Now, live spell, we will have some few minutes with you. Maybe we look at it on the sphere of around 3 minutes so we get the conversation going. What are your thoughts on trauma? What can you say as far as trauma is concerned, please?
Okay, thank you for giving me the floor. Talking about trauma here, I want to join Ambassador and say that everybody is traumatized. You, me, everybody is traumatized. It's just that getting into the Cameroonian context, we tend to start taking into consideration a trauma when it gets already to mental dilemma, what we call lunatic, when we start seeing a situation has made someone to get to commit suicide. You see, the young lady that committed suicide, her trauma did not begin the day she committed suicide. Her trauma began months back. But because we live in a society where those mental disturbances are looked upon as inexistence, we say we are strong to that. People around us don't always get to take those things into consideration, things that get us traumatized. But the reality is that all of us, we are traumatized by an event we lived while we were kids. And because today we are men, we think we are healed of those events, but we are not healed. There are certain reactions from our behaviors that when you point back to them, it is due to a trauma you went through when you were a kid. And talking also about ambassador saying sometimes you go to people's office and they have some certain reactions. Those reactions might not forcefully because uh, of the monetary or the financial problems they are having. They might be due to other traumas they have been having in their past. Maybe I know most of us Cameroonians, we have once had an experience where when we were in chômage, we walked into someone's office and they mistreated us. And today that we have the offices, we are wanting to copy the sort of trauma. Some people always wants to take it as a personal revenge situation, but uh, to focus on trauma itself, I would like to define trauma so that we can all understand the direction we are going to and what we are trying to resolve with this debate of today. You see, I would say trauma is an emotional or a psychological response to a deeply depressing and disturbing experience that an individual's ability to cope, affects an individual's
Mhm.
ability to cope. That is a trauma. That is something that can traumatize you. But the event itself is not the thing that happens, but it is the body's and mind's lasting, lasting reaction to it. You understand? It is the body and mind's lasting reactions to it. What do we say about the body and mind's lasting reactions to it? Today we see some ladies who are traumatized by the fact that they got deceived or they got into a relationship where they got pregnant and the guy abandoned them, break their hearts, abandoned them. And today they are traumatized. How do they show that in their reaction? They start getting uh, they start putting a filter amongst or across every man they meet. And some of them, you see them even on their WhatsApp posts, on their statues. They are always putting some sort of post that shows a reflection about independent women, stuff, all type of stuff. That is a lasting reaction, and that is a trauma. But you and I, we have friends who do that. But the issue is we just take it normal, but deep down there is a trauma to it. There are a lot of ladies today that are not succeeding to meet up with a man in a conducive relationship because of the trauma of the past. Some men today have broken homes because their parents were beating their moms in front of them while they were still kids. And that is a reaction that stays in their memory. And today they are being traumatized by it. So I will step down on trauma by just giving up some type of traumatic situation. I will say there is a first trauma, that is the acute trauma. That is a trauma that results from a single isolation and distressing event, something that you live alone, you're traumatized alone. That some people they are depressive because they are always alone. They don't have friends, and that brings to them a certain type of trauma that will go far to bring down their self-esteem, to bring down their self-esteem. There's also what we call chronic trauma. Chronic trauma is a certain form of trauma that results to a prolonged and repeated exposure to a distressing situation. Like maybe like I was talking about a child that always sees the parents fighting, and at the end of the day, they grow up to be a woman or a broken man. Do you think if you meet up a lady that her mother was jumping from one man to another man, having her in her hands from one house to another, do you think you will be able to build up a successful marital home with that type of lady if you don't heal the trauma? But those type of trauma are not a mental case. That is why we neglect them. But that is a mental illness. And you will get that lady in your house, and tomorrow you start fighting up and down with her. You don't understand why. The lady is not the problem. She is traumatized and she is sick. And now we have a complex trauma. The complex trauma is a result from multiple and often interpersonal traumatic events, typically in childhood. I already have gotten through some example of that. Those are complex trauma. And we have what we call as vicarious or secondary trauma, which are emotional duress from indirect exposure to the trauma of others. The trauma of others might be you can see an accident. Like I know of people, of of friends of mine, family members who have who lived in the southwest. We know the crisis in the southwest. A morning you can wake up and you see that they shot someone and dropped the corpse in the street, and you fall on those type of events. Or you can witness an accident and you see things happen in those situations. Always cause some type of traumas that brings fear and brings tight vigilance. So I want to end by saying that trauma is everybody have a trauma, even Mr. Wickham. I speak under the control of Coach Betty of our mommy
Coach
in the
Beat.
house. Coach
Mhm.
Betty, mommy, you know we are sons in front of you. You know that all of us have trauma. All of us are
Mhm.
traumatized. But the difference now is in the level of our trauma and the type of trauma we have gone through. And now I want to to finish by pointing that it is the ability of us to cope that is a problem. Because the
Yeah.
way Wicom is going to cope to the heartbreak from a lady is not the way I will cope to the heartbreak of a lady, or the way
Yeah.
a man can cope to meeting the wife cheating on him right-handed is not the way another man will cope to that same trauma. So I am going to end with this definition and
Wow.
note from
Thank you so
trauma.
much. Thank you so much, Life Spell. Thank you so much, and so glad to have you bringing in another light and angle to this thing called trauma. And of course, like I told you, it's going to be a very interactive session. Good enough. We have Coach BT, we have Dr. Linda, we have Life Spell, we have there are some other people backstage that will be adding very soon. You don't want to miss any pinch of this edition of this particular program. And like we're talking on trauma and putting a lot of emphasis on trauma in relationship. Lifespan evoked a whole lot of things and trauma and situations, a lot of things that evoke situations, traumatic situations in relationships. Now, Dr. Linda, hi, Dr. Linda, how you doing?
Good evening, Mr. Wicom. Good evening to Coach BT, Lifespell, Ambassador, and everyone that is listening to us.
Good evening,
All
Linda.
right, so glad to have you. So glad to have you. I think today we are going to be a little bit more timely so that we have some few minutes and have the conversation quite going. And I want to find out from you too, what can you comment on this thing called trauma? What can you say briefly about on trauma?
Okay, I have been listening to the panel, and I believe we have a well-equipped
Okay.
panel, and they have been talking on every traumatic aspect. One aspect of trauma that I'm going to tie on, just to add, is that
Yes.
the what we call the wound of the soul. The wound of the soul is
Yeah.
a deep and very intense wound that influences our lives. It starts from
Yes.
childhood. It can start from maybe a very tender age, one, two, three. There are things that influences us right up to our adulthood. So among these wounds of the souls, we have rejection, abandonment, humiliation, betrayal, injustice. All of these things forge a character or forge our personality to become something else because we have gone through this traumatic experience. And as Life Spell and Coach BT were saying, you begin to notice some certain characters and behaviors. And at times you want to feel this person is just proud, this person is just, but if you look closely and go into the deeper waters of the person's life, you will notice that this person has come across a lot of traumatic experience that have led them to build a mask. So what they portray to you is a mask. It's just like somebody that has been into poor relationships or being exploited in a relationship that will take a decision that as from today henceforth, I will no more suffer for a man. I will no more. Those are reactions that are linked to traumatic experiences. So one thing I want to say, everyone has trauma. Everyone,
Yes.
and most often, those people we feel don't have trauma are the most traumatized because they have built up mass that is projecting something else. Meanwhile, within them, there's still the child that has been wounded and that is still bleeding. And still bleeding means the reaction the person is projecting is contrary to what you might expect, but it's a way of defending the person to be more hurt or for him to be words and activities. So that's what I might add to what has been said as what concerns trauma. And
Wow.
I also want to say that we should know that since trauma is something that belongs to everybody, it is easier for someone that is around another person that have studied trauma to identify trauma. We tend to normalize traumatic experiences of people by saying, "Are you the first? Now you be the first married ever go through that situation. My friend, brave up." You will see somebody maybe that has experienced the loss of a parent. You tell the person you're not supposed to cry. A man doesn't cry. A man doesn't do this. If as a man you have to do this. All of these things, we are forging experiences and characters in people that are linked and tied up to trauma. So I don't know if it's our cultural context that makes us to be like that. But I want to say Africans are very hard on trauma and they don't believe in the psychological aspects.
Hmm.
Are you people getting me, please?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
getting
sure.
5 on 5.
Yeah,
Uh,
fine,
they
fine.
don't believe in the psychological perspective that we Africans can be traumatized. But if you look within deep within you, you begin to see some experiences in your life that started traumatizing you right from childhood, and you see that somebody is afraid of being lonely, so the person will develop a mask of being dependent. I do my thing, everything I want I do it alone. I do it, I can cook, I can do this, I can clean, I don't need a man, I don't need this. All of these are tied down to trauma. You will see another person that has a very big ego, and you feel that the person is just proud. You see another person that because the person is afraid of rejection, the person will withdraw his or herself from situations, not to be a burden, not to be rejected, not to experience. All of those things, they happen to our society. But what I'm going to say is that it is good for someone around you to identify a trauma, but it is best for you yourself to identify your own trauma. Because some people can be traumatized and unable to tie or to link their trauma to their character. The best thing one person can do for his herself is to recognize his or her own trauma in her life and begin to see methods in which they can ameliorate the situation or come out of the situation to be able to propel or show your real personality. I think that's what I'm going to
Okay.
add today.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Linda. Thank you so much for this timely contribution. Let me take one comment, then we will jump back to Coach BT. This is from Chumbo Roda. Chumbo Roda says, "Perfect one, Dr. Linda. They try to behave like they are strong so that people don't understand what they are going." Now, this is one very, very strategic point that has been raised by Dr. Linda and identified by Chumbo Roda as well. I want to say a big welcome to Coach B. We have Coach B in the building. Hi, Coach B. Good evening. Oh, it looks like Coach BC trying to set up one or two. Now, Coach BT, back to you. Now, in the course of this conversation, we have started looking at some things that we could do to help people that are going through trauma to engage healing and actually revive. The next thing I want you to throw more light on is what to do, is what can a person do if their partner is undergoing trauma. What could the partner, what could, like, for example, you have a woman that is undergoing trauma, or you meet a lady that's undergoing trauma, and you're building something together with her, either married to her, for example, in a state where she's in a traumatic stage. What is that thing that you can do as a partner to help the situation? Can you people hear me? It looks like I lost network at a certain point.
No, we
I'm
are
Can you people
getting
getting
hear
you.
me?
you. Your network is certainly disturbing, but we can get you.
Hello? Oh,
Yeah, we
my
can get you,
network.
Mr. Wickham.
Hello?
We are getting
Hi.
you.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can get you.
Oh, my God.
Mm.
Coach BT, I think that why Mr. Wickham is coming on, maybe you could shed more light why his connection is becoming stable on the points people were talking about.
Okay, I see.
It's quite challenging with the network. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, we can hear
Yes, we
you.
can hear you.
Oh, Thank you. It's not really easy dealing. I'm maneuvering with different networks so that we can have this wonderful conversation. Now, this is what I was trying to ask Coach BT.
Okay.
How do we deal with a partner that is suffering from trauma?
Okay, Mr. Wickham, actually, before we get to how we deal with somebody who is suffering from trauma, we should be able
Mm-hmm.
to identify the causes of trauma, because
Yes.
getting to help somebody who is dealing with trauma means we want to help that person out of that situation. That's we are now moving on to healing process. But before we get
Yes.
to the healing process, we should be able to
Yes.
identify the causes of trauma. And just
Yes.
like the speaker's ambassador and Light Spell, I hope I got it well, and Dr.
Yes.
Linda have been throwing more light. They've mentioned about poverty, which are those are all societal daily challenges, which if we really want to coin it out, we may put it under a form of kind of stress, knowing fully well that stress can lead to trauma, because continuous stress can lead to trauma. But when we have daily challenges like poverty that is coming up daily because we cannot meet up with our basic needs, we can coin that under stress, but in the long run, it leads to trauma. So, some of uh, the causes of trauma that I may mention here, especially dealing with relationship, I would like to dwell on the betrayal and infidelity. As far as
Okay.
relationships are concerned, we usually what actually stirs up a trauma in a relationship, and we should know that trauma is something that once you are affected, it lasts for long. It is not short-lived as stress. So we have betrayal and infidelity. When we have in relationship where the partners there is broken trust in a relationship, that can lead to
Mm-hmm.
a trauma. And then we also talk about physical and sexual abuse. So we have abuse in all of its forms. The abuse could be physical,
Mm-hmm.
where there is violence on individuals. There could be sexual abuse, like sexual harassment, rapes, all those kind of things. They can lead to trauma between in a relationship. And then we can also talk about chronic conflict and hostility. You have in where people dwell together, there is this recurring conflict, and then there is hostility amongst spouses or other people that may be related, might be in their place of work or in their daily activities. There is this conflict that is left unresolved, and then it might lead to hostility. All of these things create you in an environment where you live. You start developing trauma. And then we can also talk about neglect. You find where people are neglected. We can talk of childhood trauma. In most cases, children grow up in a kind of poor parenting manner where there is that neglect, and then the children just grow. They don't have anybody to talk to. They have issues they cannot share with their parents. They're forced to go out, talk to other people, and get the wrong advice on this kind of maybe what they were seeking for. And then what can also bring about trauma is this kind of control and dominating attitudes in relationships. In that case here, you have we can coin it out as a kind of dictatorship, where you have people living together, either in a workplace or in a company. You have a leader that only his says count. In a relationship, only the what one of the partner will say that maybe they will decide that that's what must hold. They don't listen to the opinion of other people. They don't get to try to work as a team. So in that kind of situation, people are always frightened, they are frustrated, and then they are psychologically and emotionally, their behavior start changing. And then we also talk of inconsistent love. When you are living in an environment where you feel that you are not loved, you feel that there is neglect, nobody cares about you, you can develop that sense of trauma. And as one of our speakers said, I think he mentioned that trauma does not just stem up in a day. It's something that starts and grows up gradually. So where there is inconsistent love, children can grow up in that atmosphere. They feel traumatized. And then we'll talk of repeated abuse in relationships, or whatever relationship you may find yourself. And then we talk of grief, and then loss of maybe loved ones, as I mentioned at the beginning. And then we can also mention the lack of safe emotional communication. You can be in a relationship, even at your workplace, you cannot communicate with your boss, you cannot communicate with your colleagues, and then even at home with your spouse, you cannot communicate well. These communicating skills are lacking. All of this put together will lead to trauma to an individual, where you find an individual now becomes unsafe, he feels sad, he's confused, he does not know what decision to take at any moment. Now, let me come to your question. What should we do to those who are actually suffering from trauma? At this point in time, we are referring to healing. And when we talk about healing, this is learning to live fully again. That is, after you have been traumatized, you now have to learn how to live fully again without being controlled by your past. Whatever thing that has brought you to that state where you are, you start looking for means that will help you come out of it. So in this case here, we have so many steps that we have to take into consideration. First of all, we
Mhm.
what can be done to that person at that point in time is that the person must first of all recognize that he is suffering from trauma, that he is traumatized. Because just like Dr. Linda said, there are so many people who are traumatized, but they refuse categorically to accept that they are traumatized. So they don't want to accept it. So what can be done to these people who are suffering from trauma is that they should first of all recognize that they are suffering from trauma. And then secondly, accept the trauma. When you accept the trauma, then we create an atmosphere around them to actually express their feelings. There are some people that they just need to talk to somebody, and then you permit them cry. Well, once they cry, they feel relief. So if your pain is that which you can cry, then cry. If you have recognized that you are traumatized, or you are hurt, you are living in pain. And then, like Dr. Linda said, some people, maybe like ego, they will say, no, a man does not cry. No, they should cry. That is the way the parenting nowadays is. They bring up the men, they tell them, oh, you are a strong man, you are a man, men don't cry. Let's make the men to know that when you cry, you let your emotions flow, and then it will help now to maybe start the healing process in your body at that particular time, or whatever thing that has caused you that pain. So I would just like to let people know, as we have all agreed here, that everybody suffers from a kind of trauma. If your trauma leads you to the point where you need to cry, please cry. You can close the room and you cry very well. Once you cry, you'll be relieved. So I said from the beginning, you have to, first of all, recognize that you are traumatized, accept that you are traumatized, and then be able to express how you feel, how you traumatized. And then the next thing now is, what should you do? You should be able to reach out for help. You should seek for help. You should talk to somebody, because what you should do is, we advise the people. If the people cannot talk to us who are close, we can advise them to go to see the therapists, the counselors, where they will help them maybe to express themselves, speak out, and then from there they can pick up with the process of healing. And then the next thing that that person that is traumatized should do is that he should take responsibility. Trauma may not be your fault. You may not be the cause of your trauma, but it is your responsibility to see that you get healed from that trauma. So we help these people to accept that they are traumatized and to accept that it is their responsibility to get healed from the trauma. And once they accept that they, it is their responsibility, then they will now get into the process and they will have in mind that the healing process is not something that is immediate. Because when you are traumatized, it is not something that is immediate. It is a process, and it is an ongoing process that you need to follow it closely. You need to follow it closely. So we help these people to follow these steps because there are steps that they need to follow. And then if they are under the mentorship or guidance of a counselor, they will guide them through these steps and then bring them to that point that they will have to understand that they have to let go the trauma. They have to release. They have to, first of all, forgive themselves and then forgive those that actually caused them or whatever thing that perpetuated that trauma. You have to let it go. Forget it. It is your past. You know, the Bible says we have to forget the past in order to look forward for the future. So when you keep carrying the grudges, you keep holding on to it, you say, because this man did this, I cannot let it go. No, that harm is on you. Maybe that person that even caused that pain to you, he's not even feeling it. He's going about his daily activities. His temperature is at 37 degrees. He has no worry. But you are the one settling on the pain, holding it. It is traumatizing you. You are confused. The many other things that are surrounding you, achievements that you have to achieve, you are unable to go ahead with them because you are confused. You are looking for the way either to vengeance. Your thoughts are always like evil. You are asking yourself, why should this happen to me? Let go, release it, forget about the past, forgive whoever hurt you. And then when you come to this point, you accept it, you know that it's a process and it is a long process. Then you begin to build up. Get yourself involved into those things that you know that will keep you happy, that will not take you back to your past. And then this now will lead to growth. And then learn from the lesson, learn lessons. This trauma brought you what? What caused it? And what have you learned from it? And then from now, you can now set your boundaries. If it is something that actually caused you and brought you, or if it's a human being that brought you to that point, then you should actually figure out those kind of characteristics that that person is possessing, so that when once you see somebody similar with those characteristics, you should at least know that this kind of man with this kind of red flags maybe will still lead me into what I'm coming out of. So I think that's what we should do with people who are suffering from trauma.
I feel like clapping. Thank you so much, Coach BT. Thank you so very much. I mean, the comments that are coming there, I'm so glad that you all are able to follow and to grab something. Like I told you before, it's going to be a very deep session, not like any other. This is not just going to be a regular conversation, but a conversation with deep insight. Thank you for bringing up this wonderful, yeah, mother of boys. I see you, mother of boys says I'm clapping already. Oh yes. So I'm glad we are learning, and I'm equally learning myself. I want us to take there's one question why Coach B was talking. We're going to hear from Coach B in a bit, but let's have this question from Akere Midwest. She says, how do we get people that refuse that they are traumatized to accept that they are, so that they are traumatized, so that they can help them? The type in there. So how do we get people that are, how do you get people that refuse that they are traumatized to accept that, so that they can be helped, or they can, so that, oh, the English there. But if I understand where she's trying to find out, that if you have a situation where somebody is actually traumatized and they refuse, how do you actually help them so that they can get healing?
Okay, if I step in at this point, I will say, as I said at the beginning, and from what Dr. Linda mentioned, many people out there, we are all traumatized. But the point is, many people will not even, first of all, identify that they are traumatized, and they will not even recognize that they are traumatized. So we
Yeah.
should bring them to that point of awareness, self-awareness. They should accept that there
Yeah.
is a problem. Yes. And then now you should be able to list out the consequences of living under those kind of conditions. When you are living under trauma, we have mentioned you are confused. There's nothing you can do even that is even good to yourself. Even you see people who are traumatized, just the way they dress. It's like a girl gets up in the morning because a man abandoned her, or like the one that she suddenly finds that she's pregnant and she thinks that that's the end of the world. And then even to dress up, no, she will put on one funny dress. Even her hairstyle is one bakala that has been for like 2 weeks on her hair. And then she no longer, self-care is no longer there. So you bring this person to the point of understanding, self-awareness. Let them understand the consequences of living under that kind of atmosphere. Because the fact that that pain that you are going through doesn't mean that it is your stop point. No. Trauma, at times, we can take trauma to be a kind of a stepping stone to build up strength, to realize ourselves, or to move to a different level of our life, or even to find purpose. Yes, because at times you are traumatized from the lessons that you learn from it. They often say you should turn your pain into purpose. So we should bring these people to the point where they should understand the consequences of living under trauma. Trauma is not, whatever happened to you did not put an end to your life. You have a purpose in your life. You still have to fulfill your purpose in your life. So if we bring out the consequences of this to them, I think they will at least accept and then express the trauma and then take responsibility.
Okay, thank you so much, Coach BT, for that one. And I think one of the someone said here, I think acceptance is the beginning of your healing. That is mother of boys. And of course, at this point, I want to hear a little bit from Coach B. Hi, Coach B. Good evening, and so glad to have you here today. Oh, Coach B there. Oh, okay. While waiting for Coach B to come in again, I think we equally have Ambassador backstage, which will be adding as well, or the network. So, with all of this, you understand that trauma is something that we see on a day to day. I want to say big shout out BB Physio Lifestyle. Hi to you. She says, wow, powerful. And of course, we are glad you're following even from TikTok, and all of you are following from different platforms. It's here that we meet together to actually share useful tips and great ideas that could help people. Now, Coach BT, I want to ask one more thing. Then we'll get to Dr. Linda and hear from Lifespell. There is this question that pops to my mind when we are talking. Is it possible for somebody to self heal when they are suffering from trauma? Is it possible?
It is very possible, Mr. Wickham. It's very possible. Because if you know your purpose in life, it will be very possible for you to get healed from trauma. Because whatever thing that might happen, or whatever thing that might have caused that trauma to you, if you take it like one of those events in life that can happen, and that they happen in a season, and that life is lived in season, you place that as that season, and then you will find a way to move on to the next season of your life. So people can personally get healed from trauma individually.
Okay, that's a wonderful one. Now, Dr. Linda, I want to find out something from you. Hi, Dr. Linda, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there, Mr. Wickham.
All right, we have the situation of this young lady that unalived herself because she took in for somebody that was not that allegedly rejected the pregnancy. She did an attempt the first time, and then she was rushed to the hospital, and then she came again and did it the second time. And when we look through the recent trend and the recent things that are going on in our society today, especially with the young people, they say Gen Z, we will notice a similar things. We'll notice very similar things that are happening in today's society. Any little thing you see a young person unaliving themselves. Any little thing you see a young person unaliving themselves. Now, I want to find out from you, what will you
Yeah.
say to anybody that's going through this kind of situation or the syndrome of attempting to unalive themselves, using this girl's story as a case study?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wicom. I want to applaud Coach BT for what she has said. She has given us a vast guideline on how to come out of trauma. I want to use this girl's case. First, as I always say, I want to say that the society has a role to play, and the society has a hand in everything that happens. As the ambassador was saying about the negative aspects that can be found in our nation, but I also want to talk about the culture, the negative cultural aspects that we attach to certain things. It is normal and it
Yes.
is a well-known thing that in our culture, getting married out of wedlock is something that is not being applauded for. So in that situation, I know that she had been traumatized by maybe the words from her parents at that situation. We need to know that, first of all, a girl getting pregnant at that age and keeping that pregnancy is somebody that has at least an iota of moral values, because most girls in this generation will want to terminate the pregnancy even without it getting noticed. But I'm not saying that what she did was getting pregnant is right. No, but it happens. And in case it happens, we have to prepare our children for those eventualities. These are things that might happen. And if they happen, this is how we are going to be treated. And this is how we are going to go out of the situation. Because I feel that as a society, we tend to look or have a bad eye on girls that go through those situations, be it pregnancy, be it somebody that is taking drugs. We just categorize them and put them all in a block. These are bad elements. And that point of view needs to change. If not, we'll lose more people, we'll lose more of our younger ones, and we'll tend to cry when it's already late. In that case, first of all, we have the guy that is not responsible enough to take care of his actions, because I have the habit of saying everybody should be responsible of his or her own action. Secondly, we have the parents that had a vital role to play. I'm telling you, at that situation, having a pregnancy for someone that is not responsible and that might have disappeared, it is the role of the parent to be able to help that child go out of that traumatic experience, because you don't know the love language they have been having. You don't know the projects they had. It's already traumatizing to be pregnant for someone that refuses. And if the parents also add up to that trauma by releasing negative words, by let's say um releasing negative words, putting you in condition where you might not see yourself equally to want to take your
Oh,
life,
all right.
and might lead you equally to want to take your life, because you might not see yourself useful either for your, are you getting me?
I can hear you.
Yes,
Please
we're
ride
listening,
on.
Dr. Lisa.
You will not see yourself useful for your parents, neither useful for the man. So what I want to say is that we need to learn as parents, and we need to teach our children that every action you take, you have to take responsibility for it. And if you have to take responsibility for it, if you are pregnant, we will help you, but you have to go through the stages. Life is not going to be easy, but you can count on us. I think that that is the first thing the parents were supposed to do. Maybe out of anger and all the rest, they neglected the issue and it led to someone killing the life, taking the life. Another thing I want to say is on the Gen Z generation, life is not easy. It's true we talk
Yeah.
about trauma, but those things help us to generate some good characters and good way of seeing life. Life is not easy. You will not just get up and have a golden spoon on your table. Not everybody has access to life that way. So it is normal for you to go through difficult time to forge in you a character of a champion. As they say in French, c'est en forgeant qu'on devient forgeron. While going through those tough situations, you are becoming a tougher person that can help other people in the future generation and that can help yourself. So let's stop looking at the films and TikToks that are showing us and let's focus on realities of life. But for me, what I would say, the responsibility is higher on the parents to teach their children that life is not easy and life can go through difficulties, but we need to learn how to bring up the situation. That's what I can say for the moment.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Linda. And I want to say hi to Mervis Goom. All of you are connecting right now. You're very much welcome. Richard, Richie, I see you. All of you connecting from whatever platform, you're very much welcome. This is at Live Sunday, where we a live Sunday conversation where we talk on strategic things. And those of you came in who are just coming in now, we are talking on trauma, healing, and the way forward, which means we are looking at everything and seeing possible solutions that could help people who are going through this particular situation or this state. Now, I have this comment coming from Mervis. He says mental illness are so neglected in Cameroon. I'm so glad we are having these conversations. Yeah, thank you so much, Mervis. And this is more from He says, I know a mother here with nine and pregnant for the 10th, who just sent a 19-year-old out of the house because she got pregnant for a man who is on probation with an ankle in his leg. She doesn't care if she on her lives in the street, if she loses her life in the street. Now these are different. I'm sure this is going down. This is going down to what Dr. Linda was saying. Regards parents actually have using harsh words on children that puts them under a particular pressure to get into this state of trauma. And yeah, she says 9 children. All right, I get mother of boys. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome another wonderful person that will be giving us some deep insight, and that is Coach B. Hi, Coach B. Good evening.
Hello. K- Hi, Wicom. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you 5 on 5. How are you
Awesome. I
today?
greet everyone in the panel.
Yeah.
I'm
Good
doing
fine.
okay. Thank you.
All right. So when well, you're coming in, where we have been talking on trauma, healing, and the way forward. Basically, we've looked at different types of trauma, and touched on this angle. And we are at the point where we are talking on a situation where a young lady unalived herself because she took in for a guy who later rejected the pregnancy allegedly. Now, I want to find out from you, Coach B. What can you tell somebody that is going through trauma, especially trauma that is caused by rejection? Sometimes, like this lady, definitely, I'm sure she had maybe rejection from society. And equally, I had a situation of a lady who got pregnant as well, and she was in a Pentecostal church. So she feared this backbench. There's something they call backbench. Those of you who are Pentecostal, they are going to put you on the backbench. A lot of people are going to actually snub you in church, and this put her in a very horrible state. Coach B, what can you say about somebody that is going to trauma? What can you say to somebody that is going to trauma as a result of rejection?
Thank you so much, Wicom. And I've been listening. I think I love every submission that came from the other speakers. I
Yeah.
did listen to Mr. Lifespell. I listened to Coach Betty and Dr. Linda. I really appreciate all your contributions, and I feel that these are conversations that we need to be having because people love things that are fake nowadays. But when we start having real conversations like this, that touches the core of humanity, people shy away from such conversations because these are conversations that are pointing to individual personalities. These are conversations that are pointing to people's actions and inactions that they, again, do not want to reverse from those actions. So I love to always talk about trauma and healing with simple analogies that people can really relate with. And I love to use the analogy of a deep cut. And I believe that each and every one of us here, for one reason or the other, has had a deep cut sometime. Either when you're slicing onions, you're slicing tomatoes, you're slicing your own fruits that you're about to feed yourself, and you accidentally have a deep cut. Traumas are like deep cuts. These are events that happen to you without you being ready for, without you preparing for. And so they come with a sharpness in it. They come with that shock component to it that you need to start adapting to the deep cut, and you need to start even recognizing that something strange happened to you. You use the example of someone who is struggling with rejection, and that kind of really touched me rubbed me off in a very wrong way, because I had a conversation with someone this weekend, and this was an unofficial coaching session with this person. And I have known this person for a while, and they kind of shared something about their past. So this is a child that was born out of wedlock to a father who refused to be present in the life of his mom. And so when he was born, he was passed around to different family members, relatives, friends, and so on. And he was just bouncing around with other people. This person is in their 30s already, but they still suffer that abandonment and rejection syndrome. And when he grew up as a mature young man, unfortunately for him, the very first girl that he tried to reach out to, because as kids, the love and attention that we need from our parents. And so when we struggle, when we have rejection from parents, now we struggle until we get to that stage where we start craving for love from the opposite sex. And when you get to that stage and then you start reaching out for love and they reject you again, it becomes terrible. So this young man has had that childhood rejection and then that adulthood rejection. And at this point in his life, he doesn't know where he belongs. He doesn't know if he belongs to being a celibate or just being someone who can be with a partner. And you can
Yeah.
see that rejection show up in him every day. Like he wants to do everything right so that he is not rejected. He doesn't want to say no. He will always say yes, even when the yes is very uncomfortable for him, very inconvenient, and so on and so forth. So you see rejection, the fear of rejection show up in his life in everything he does. And so I had to start digging into this canker worm that he's living with, just reminding him that because at this point he's struggling to interface with himself and try to discern what is best for him because he doesn't know what is best for him. So I said, if you want to find the core of your problem, you want to go back into your inner child and heal that trauma that your 10-year-old self, your 7-year-old self, your 12-year-old self has struggled with. And that trauma of rejection is something you cannot just blanket, you cannot mask it and keep living life with. It is something that you need to heal. If you don't heal that version of you, and then you heal the adult version of you that was also rejected before you can start on a new phase of your life. There's something about trauma that is like a scar. Remember, I used the analogy of a deep cut. When you have a deep cut, it's a wound. You can see that wound change from being a wound to start healing. And then at some point, it becomes a scar. That's the journey or the life cycle of every trauma. It starts with a deep cut and later on it becomes a scar. The scar does not go away depending on how deep the cut was. If the cut was very
Yes.
deep and also in a very visible spot in your life or on your skin, let's say the scar was on your forehead, that scar will be there. Everybody will see that scar. You will see that scar every time you look at the mirror. people will remind you of that scar, and there's no way you can stay away from being reminded of that deep cut. So it's important that you give that scar a different meaning. And Coach Betsy talked about healing. When you start healing, there is no way you can heal without acknowledging that you initially had a deep cut, and that's why you have a visible scar on your skin. So it's important to first of all talk about what caused that deep cut in the first place. Was it something you had control over? Was it something that you didn't have control over? And
Mm.
again, I want to use the example of this young man I spoke with. I reminded him that you need to look at yourself in the mirror frequently and forgive yourself for being born into such circumstances. You did not choose to be born of a particular parent. You did not choose your birth date. You did not choose when your mother will conceive you. You did not choose the father or the mother that you will have. And so you need to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I forgive myself for
Mm.
being born into such circumstances. I forgive myself for being born by a father who chose not to be in my life. I forgive myself for being born into a family where I was being passed around to friends and other family members to raise me. But this is my reality. And how much control do I have over my present and my future? What is it that I can do to ensure that my present and my future now becomes what I have control over? Because everything about your beginning you didn't have control over, but everything about what unfolds from now and forward in your life is something you have full and total control over. And that's why your healing depends on your intentional decision of saying, I don't want to be the old me. I want to be that version of me that can help my older version. So the version of you today is the version that you want to craft it in a way that that version of you today can help the old version of you. The old trauma, pained, dissatisfied, unforgiving, um, um, anything you can call yourself. The old version of you is something that you want to take. It's not like you want to bury it. You want to keep it somewhere, and you need to nurture it, pamper it, heal it, and make it look different. So when you start telling your story later on, you will tell that same story. The story is not going to change, but the choice of words that you're going to use to tell that story is going to change. Because instead of you saying that I am so miserable because I had this deep cut when I was 15 years old, when I was 19 years old, you will say, I feel so blessed today because the deep cut that I had 15 years ago turned out to be the reason why I am celebrating today. So in every trauma, there is gain. In every
Mm.
pain, there is gain. In every suffering, there is a blessing and there is a lesson. And the earlier we start looking at our traumas as opportunities that can help us to become better persons, rather than using them as things that will become things that we feel so miserable about, things that we do not want to show up because of them. Let's take that information, take that event, take that scar, and tell a different story about the scar, because the scar is not going to go anywhere. It is up to you to tell a different story, because if the scar heals from within, the scar will not look too visible on the outside. When someone looks at it, they will not be able to tell if this cut was a cut from a knife, or it was a cut from a sharp wood, or it was a cut from you bumping into someone else. They will not be able to tell, because you've been able to retell the story of that scar in another way. So, this
Wow.
person that is probably suffering rejection, there is another way you can tell that story. That rejection could be just a lifesaver. Whoever is rejecting you is putting you on a pedestal that will be the journey to your breakthrough. If we start looking at life in that way, we will know that even when Peter refused Jesus Christ 3 times, there was an opportunity for him to restitute 3 times. So guys, let's not look at our traumas as if they're the end of the world. Those traumas are supposed to be part of this life's experience, because life itself, the journey of life is like the weathers of a year. There is a season for sunshine, there is a season for the winters, there is a season for rainfall, and there's a season for fall, where the beautiful leaves that you see turn into a different color and they fall off the trees and the trees become bare. But the summers come back again and the trees become fruitful. Just apply those same seasons in your life. And when it's that season of pain, if it's that season of struggle, appreciate that season, but be keen and pay attention to the lessons that you're learning through that season. Because every
Wow.
season, every lesson you learn in every season will be an opportunity for you to make the other season of your life better. Let me
Wow.
leave it there for now.
And I feel like
Wow.
clapping again.
I was just feel like clapping.
We supposed to close.
Thank you.
We come.
We
We
just
supposed
feel
to
like
close.
clapping.
The church don't close. We'll close the
Yeah, we
church.
supposed to end the program.
All right. Thank you so much, Coach B. That was really a powerful intervention. And I told you people from the start that today is going to be a very different kind of life. And I myself am benefiting firsthand. When I look at the comments coming in, I am glad that lives are touched, because that is the goal of this life. It's not just to come and idle on Sundays, it's actually to send out useful information that could help somebody. Somebody listening right now could have the life, a reason to live again. Somebody listening right now could have healing from that particular situation which they are going through. And that is the essence why we come with this. Let me take a few comments and then I'm going to ask, because there are some pertinent things that I jotted down while Coach B was talking, and good enough we have Coach BT, who is equally a relationship expert here. Says, hope this session is recorded. Yeah. This session is recorded, Lelino Bertrand. Thank you. It's recorded and it's going to be here time and time again. And we equally have Ernestine Bass. But was just saying to myself, there is a reason for everything. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, Ernestine. And hi, neighbor Grace and Lelino Bertrand. Glad to have you. Now, Coach BT, I want to find out something from you. Given that there is a reason for everything, and some of those situations, the rejection, like Coach Jubilee said, could be happening for a reason. I want to find out in before we got in and had some other aspects. There was something you said which I think at this point is a good time for us to actually hit hard on it. The situation where somebody is going to trauma from infidelity. Now I had somebody that I encountered who had a lady who was supposed to get married to, and definitely they have children, two children, and he found out that this lady cheated on him. And from then, this guy has been traumatized. It's been about almost 10 years. But every time that situation comes in, it's like the thing happened yesterday. So that is, I could say that is trauma. Am I correct? That is trauma, right? And the next thing is, how can somebody going through this kind of situation, how do you heal with this kind of wound? Remember, you have two children. Like, what could be the best approach for such a person to commence their healing process? Coach BT.
Mr. Wickham, if I got your question well, you're asking if this is trauma. Yes, it is trauma. Because if we
Yes.
liken trauma to be something that is shocking, something you least expected, that it could happen in your life, but it's happening and it's frightening. And then it makes you, it changes your physiological and emotional behavior. We will say that that is trauma. And your next question is, how is this person going to heal from such a relationship? The what I want to maybe have more clarity on this question is, are they married? Are they still together?
Yes. Yes, they are. They are two. They are living together and they are still married.
Okay, great. If they are still married, then we should say that we can cheer up the man for at least accepting that there is trauma. He has taken responsibility to deal with it by still keeping his wife and children together. because the Bible says, what will happen to the righteous if the foundation is broken or destroyed? So I'm very
Yes.
sure that is what is keeping this relationship together today, because the man is looking at the offsprings and asking himself what will happen to them. So he does not want to destroy the foundation. Talking about
Mm-hmm.
healing here, normally
Yes.
when we talk of forgiveness does not mean that you have forgotten what happened. Forgiveness does not mean that you accepted that what happened was right. No.
Yes.
So, because this man, uh, at least he has taken the path of forgiveness, let go the past, but once a while, he will still remember it. And it would just sound as if it's just happening that same moment. But now, that is when we talk about uh, your emotional intelligence, how you manage it when it comes up. You be that he should be able to manage it when
Yes.
he flashes back to it. He should be able to manage it and say, okay, uh, that it happened then. I need to move on. I've been moving on. I have my wife. I can take it. He can take it and consider it that it is something that happened accidentally. And then from there, he will keep on moving and living his relationship as if nothing happened. And they will live their happy life in as much as the lady in question is remorse and actually serious that and regret whatever happened. I think regretting and feeling sorry about whatever happened gives the man that sense of at least going on with the healing.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. The lady has to be remorseful. Thank you so much, Coach BT. Let me take this comment. Oben Miriam, you're welcome. Oben Miriam, you're welcome. And Grace says, "Oh, I missed this live along. Sorry, but it's going to be recorded. It's recorded live, so you could catch up. But from now on, there's still a lot of very, very deep insight you can grab. All of you coming in right now, you're very much welcome. Today, we're talking on trauma healing and the way forward. And it's been a very educative session. Chumbo Roda says, if they are still together, is already good. Let him forgive the woman, think of the children. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing to say. Life spell. Can you forgive a cheating woman? Life spell, you
Is
there?
that a question?
Yeah, I asked that question because you're a man. And I want to find from a male perspective. Because sometimes if we say forgive, forgive, and let go, but I came to understand that a lot of people have this big issue, especially with men, forgiving infidelity from their women. From a male perspective, do you think it's possible to forgive a cheating woman? Right, Spell?
Yeah. Looking at that question, I will tell you that it is possible. There's nothing
Yeah, Life Spell, are you
impossible.
there?
Yeah, I am there. Can you get me?
Okay, okay. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I am there. So I was saying that looking at this question, I can say it is very, very possible for a man to forgive his cheating wife. It is true. Many men will be putting a thumbs down to this, but it is very possible. Why is it possible? Uh, it is possible on certain
Mhm.
conditions. It is possible on certain
Yeah.
conditions. You know, the
Mhm.
emotional configuration of a man is different to that of a woman. From
Yes.
anthropological point of view, we
Yes.
have been grown up in a certain way that we know that men should not accept cheating from the spouse. You understand? And we have been made
Yes.
to understand that it is very
Yeah.
normal for a woman to be likely able to forgive the husband cheating than a man to forgive the wife cheating. But the issue is that there is something that is grounded in our creation. is the fact that a man's way of thinking remains a man's way of thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and a woman's way of thinking remains a woman's way of thinking. What do I say about thinking? Because we need to understand this point to understand why we can forgive. A man way of
Yeah.
thinking is that a man mind is like a cupboard. You see, there's a
Yes.
cupboard for work,
Yeah.
there's a cupboard for driving, there's a cupboard for love, there's a cupboard for relationship, there's another one for games, there's another one for finance. We don't mix things together. You understand? So it's very possible for a man to play out with a lady without cheating. In his mind, he's not cheating. He's just playing out. But
Mm-hmm.
in a woman's mind is a big canteen for us who those who went to boarding school dormitories. With the canteens,
Mm-hmm.
we carry all the biscuits, the shoes, we just put inside. That is how uh, a woman's mind is. A woman's mind,
Yes.
emotion is connected to sex, work is connected to emotion, finance is connected to emotion, everything is just in one place. So it is very easy
Yes.
for a woman to see things like that. But for us men, we know that that is how a woman is, and somehow women know that that is how men are. For a woman, it is very obvious for a woman to brag in front of another woman she knows the husband is cheating with, like, I am the one in the house, it is not you, he's just playing with you. You
Yeah.
understand? Because she knows the
Mm-hmm.
place, the partition in the man's cupboard, the man has placed her in. So it is very easier for a woman, a wife at home, to tell the other woman outside that you are outside. Whatever he gives you now, you are not the one he married. I am the one he married. Look at my finger. I am the one he married. You are just
Mm-hmm.
wasting your time. Go and look for your own husband. But do you
Mm-hmm.
think you will go and tell another man that is playing with your one that I am the one she accepted to marry you? Do you think that type of scenario can work? That type of scenario cannot work, can never work, because for a woman to get to cheat the husband, it means that that is a relationship that the courting has begun a long time ago, to the extent that the man could link the emotion to the sexual parts of your wife and could get the keys to
Mm-hmm.
access that. So it makes it difficult for a man to know that if my wife gave that particular thing to another man, it means that there is already her heart that has been withdrawn away from me in a certain aspect. So the fact that us men find difficult to forgive their wives after meeting them cheating is because we are not hurt by the sex in the first place. We are hurt by the fact that we see that our wife does no longer loves us. And once we see
Mm-hmm.
our woman does no longer loves us, we feel rejected by the woman we love and gave that particular cupboard in that particular space in our wardrobe, that particular atmosphere, that space that ladies cherish. You understand? That has betrayed us.
Mm-hmm.
That is why it is difficult for a man to forgive. But I say it is possible. It is possible
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that I will just steal from your previous topic of the last week, when
Yeah.
to know how to know when
Yeah.
to quit. That was what we discussed last week.
Mm-hmm.
How
Okay.
to
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
when to quit. It is a
Yeah.
very crucial aspect in this forgiveness, because it will not make any sense for you to forgive a woman that does not want to be with you anymore. Coach Bitty, am I right?
You are right.
That is why how can I, in the Bantu mentalist or mental or mindsets, if I can say, they say that what a woman wants is what God wants
Mm-hmm.
in such a way.
Okay.
Because if a woman
Mm-hmm.
does not want to be with you, if a woman does not want to be with you, forgiving her or not forgiving her does not make a sense. So the first question to ask your wife is, what is happening? Are you still with me? Are you not still with me? And once you have observed her character, her attitude, and her actions, if she doesn't still want to be with you, there is no need for giving the woman. It will be
Okay.
going back to your topic of last week that says knowing when to quit,
To leave. All right.
to leave.
Now, thank you so much, Lifespan. We have this message coming from Neba Grace. She says, men can never forgive. They will pretend to forgive, but give you silent treatment. He said, honestly, if my husband catches me red-handed, I will ask for forgiveness and simply pack my bag, my things, and leave. Now, because this is technical, because this is one part of trauma that it's we hardly talk about. I know the story of a man that became a drunkard the day he discovered that the wife actually cheated on him and contracted the disease. That man became a drunkard, and everybody around was calling him drunkard, 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 drunkard. Most of the time, we manage this angle from a feminine point of view, because women are usually outspoken ones. But there are a lot of men. Examples: men that sleep a lot of them, men that sleep around. A lot of them are as a result of trauma from a heartbreak. There are some people that there's a man that was to get married to a lady, and then his classmate, his former classmate, came and snatched
We
the lady from
understand.
him. And then from then, he says he's going to be a heartbreaker. He has been breaking girls' heart and breaking the heart and breaking the heart and breaking the heart. You see, is he happy? No, but he's just doing it as some sort of reaction to a traumatic experience. And you see, feels bad anytime he thinks about that particular girl that he was to get married to. And that his classmate came and told the girl that, what are you doing with this kind of man? Does this profession, can they give you anything serious? And when the man was able to make some big hits, that was the first person he wanted to challenge. Funny enough, the girl and the man's classmate did not last. They finally ended up. But the man had already cultivated the attitude of breaking the hearts, like scattering it. There are a lot of young people like that. You see, and equally there are people that are into addiction because of some situations like this. So, Coach BT, I want to find out. Okay, good enough. We have Dr. Linda. We hear from Coach BT and hear from Dr. Linda too. I want to find out from you, what word can you give to men that are going through trauma from infidelity?
Mr. Wickham, I would like to say here that in most cases, trauma on infidelity on the part of the ladies for the men is a bitter pill to swallow. It's a bitter pill to swallow because just like spy, is it spy life or
Let's
yes,
spell.
men
Let's spell. Yeah.
that when you have your wife, she's your wife. She's something that you cherish, and it's a no-go zone area. So you don't find any reason or what can actually prompt her to maybe open up to another man. And as he rightly explained, it is often considered that men can cheat and go with because they say it is very possible for them to go cheating around without actually being intentional. But for a woman to actually accept that to happen, it means it is something that has been going on, and it finally she gave the green light, which meaning that she's had the opportunity to say no to it. So when it comes to that point, the men really don't find it easy to accept it. And we are not saying that it is on the part of the woman. I don't, first of all, even see anything there that is right, because as a woman, your integrity is what counts most. The men can jump to and fro, but the woman, your integrity is what you should preserve. So if it does happen, the men who are suffering from this kind of trauma, as I said and I keep saying, there are so many things. If we go back to our last topic, considering when to quit,
Yes.
they are bound to actually forgive the lady in question, because there is a lot of investment in this relationship.
Yes.
There are children, you've put money together, you have assets together, families have
Yes.
come to know each other, and
Yes.
so you consider so many things, you put them together, and then you just have to swallow the pill and you let go the past, forget it, and then you just move on. So they really have to, because there is a lot that they will have to take into consideration, because the essential
Yes.
thing is not just saying, okay, let me quit. No, the
Yes.
trauma is there, but they should find a way of dealing with the trauma, as we've said, accepting it, taking responsibility, healing from it. And if the lady in question is actually repenting from it, then we can keep it. But if that lady is not repenting from that act, then I don't think we can continue to house that kind of a lady in that relationship. The man should quit that
So,
relationship.
so if I understand well, the forgiveness should go in proportion with the lady's repentance.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
That is why
Thank
I
you so
said,
much.
that is why I talked
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
conditional. It is conditional.
Okay. Thank you so much, Coach BT. Thank you so much, Life Spare. Now, Dr. Linda, I want to find out something from you. Now, this takes us to another dimension. We are gradually going to the end of the of the conversation today, but I want us to tackle some few more points before we go. We are not going to be long again. All right. I want to find out from you, Dr. Linda, how then do we deal with triggers? Because some of the times this has gotten us to a stage where we are seeing possibilities where people who are offended or people who are in trauma could forgive themselves and forgive people for putting them into that situation. And sometimes in the process of forgiving yourself or forgiving the person that offended you or the person that put you into trauma, you try sometimes and you think like it's going, but at certain points you meet some other situations that trigger you. So how do we deal with triggers in the healing process from a traumatic experience, Dr. Linda?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Wickham. I was cut off by Enio, but I just got back. How do we do with triggers? First, before even diving into triggers, I want to say in that situation of that lady and that man, it is very fundamental to find out the reason why she cheated on him, because the reason why she cheated on him will determine if the relationship is going to go far or whatsoever. It depends also
Mhm.
if she has learned any lesson, and she has to prove that her trust or that trust can be given once more to her, because trust is merited. At the first time she was trusted
Yeah,
because that felt he was his wife, but this time she has to show proof of meriting the trust or that she's trustworthy. Then they can take
yeah,
into consideration other situation. For example, let's say, I'm not saying it's the case, what if the lady is not satisfied sexually by the man, and that led to her going out? I don't think her saying I'm sorry, I'll never do it is going to be the end of the problem. There's a fundamental work that has to be done. And I believe it is best if it's under the supervision of a counselor, because the counselor might
Yeah.
know what and when to add at what point. And equally that they
Yeah.
should be frank with each other in their relationship. Even if being frank is going to hurt, it's better to hurt and heal than to keep hiding and keep destroying in secret. So how do we deal with triggers? I want to say there's a proverb that says that once beaten, twice shy. It means that whenever you have been beaten, you begin to create or develop a defense mechanism to be able to identify, even when the snake is still under the green grass and you don't know what's moving under.
Yeah.
And that becomes very serious because at times, because of us creating defense system, we walk away from real situation and real occasions. I want to see that there's a difference between being traumatized and there's a difference between learning from the trauma and walking into a new life, as Coach B was saying. Walking into a new life
Yes.
doesn't mean you're going to put your past away. Walking into a new life is means that even those situations that would trigger you, you won't allow them to make you have a decision that is biased. Let's say, for example, someone that has an unfaithful wife, when he gets married to another woman, the first thing he thinks is that the woman is going to be unfaithful. So let me walk around controlling her, watching her phone, and all the rest. All of those things shows that the trauma has not yet been healed. Because if the trauma is healed, it's true there's going to be triggering events or situations, but the first thing is going to happen is you're going to allow everybody to try for themselves without taking the past of A and putting it on B. Another thing we need to know about trigger is that something will only trigger us if that thing is in us. It means that the pain is still there. Maybe it has subsided, but there is still a pain. And because you're refusing the pain to come again up, you mount this defense. And I want to say, Mr. Wilcom, no matter how prudent you might be, if a human
Yeah.
being wants to hurt you, you're going to be hurt. So the issue is not about people being around you. The issue is preparing yourself to go out of situations. Because no matter the preparation you have vis-a-vis
Yeah.
your wife, vis-a-vis your husband, there's going to be a situation that will take you off guard. So the problem now you analyze that is not the situation that has to make you become a more bad person or make you to become the worst part of yourself, but it's for you to build capacity to be able to come out of difficult situations. Another thing again that I'm going to mention about trigger is that trigger reveals your fears. If something is triggering you, it means that there's a fear and a
Yeah.
trauma that still needs attention in you. Because if there is no trauma that you have,
Mhm.
you are going to react normally to a situation without you forcefully categorizing somebody and putting the person aside. So the problem is not the trigger, but how you attend to the trigger and who is in front of the trigger. And equally, the problem is not the trigger because it will always come. It will always come, but how you have built yourself, how you have furnished yourself to attend to future triggers. And equally, I will also say you cannot stay in the same house with somebody without the person hurting you. Even if that person is your mother, even if that person is your child, even if that person is your sister, your husband, whatsoever relationship, your boss, you cannot have a relationship without someone hurting you. So, what is sure and certain is that hurt will come, but it's for you to prepare yourself on how to treat that hurt. Am I going to accept that I'm being hurt and see how to find a way forward? Am I going to allow another person to come and impose on me my actions, my future actions and relationship with people? Or am I going to take time to observe, make an opinion of the person, and then see if the person just did it out of curiosity or the person is willfully propagating the same pattern I left in the past. So there are other parameters that are supposed to be taken into consideration, no matter the situation we go through. I think I'm going to drop it at this point there.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Linda. Now, the reason I was looking at trigger, yeah, I like the way you place it. And I was looking, just recently, I was talking with a lady, and she has this issue where her husband cheated on her when he went for a vacation. He went for a walk. He traveled, not vacation is relaxation. He traveled to a different town for work purpose. So each time this man has to travel, this lady always gets depressed. She feels like the husband is going to cheat on her. She feels like he should go with him. She feels like, so there's a lot of mixed feeling and turbulence in her mind. You get? So somebody in this kind of thing, I think the whole aspect of the man traveling again puts her in the state where she's in the state where she just starts crying, she just starts feeling bad, she just starts having that coldness, and no matter a degree of guarantee, it becomes a problem. Yeah, Dr. Linda.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that in that situation, I feel that she needs help. I feel that she needs the help of
Mm-hmm.
maybe a psychologist or a counselor, because you can't stop your husband from fulfilling his civil duties or his work obligations because of your own personal trauma. And you cannot stop a man from
Yeah.
cheating on you no matter how you want it to be. You can't you can't
So
control a human being per se. You can't control the actions of a human being. He can still be in Yaoundé and still cheat on you. So the issue is not about him traveling. The issue is about how he reacts to being tempted. Let's put it that way. The issue is the choice of action faced to temptation. And now for the lady, her problem is not her husband. Her problem is she is afraid of being abandoned or rejected by the absence of her husband. She is afraid of loneliness. Are you getting me, Mr. Wickham? Hello?
yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you, Dr.
Okay.
Linda.
She's afraid of abandonment. She's afraid of being single. She's afraid there are a lot of things that is making her to push forward and always want to be triggered. Let me tell you, no matter how you want to supervise, you want to put cameras and do whatever, you cannot control a man. The best thing she can do for the moment is to pray. The second thing is that she should go under counseling with her husband, either by a psychologist, either by a spiritual head, or either by a marital therapist, for her to be able to accept that the husband is fulfilling his work duties. Now, if the husband decides to indulge in cheating scandals, there are other options. She might travel with him. But let me tell you, just as the same way Eve admired the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil and desire it, the man will still have temptations. It is left on him to
Yeah,
choose how to act
yeah,
faced with temptations.
yeah. Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Linda. Coach Bitty, do you want to add something there?
Mr. Wickham, well, I thank Dr. Linda for that great contribution, but
Yes,
this is the aspect. I will come in at this angle.
yes,
Dr. Linda Riley said, you cannot control a man.
yes,
If a man decides to cheat, even in the same house that you are living with, he will cheat.
yes,
So, this is what this whole issue of women always having this thought in their mind that my husband is cheating, and they are carrying it like a kind of garment on them, and they think that they
yes,
can check the man. Dr. Linda has said it all. You cannot check the man, and I still say it. Even under your roof, even on your
mm,
matrimonial bed, they can still cheat. But now, this is what I'm
yes,
saying to the ladies, to the women.
yes,
Just, just like people who pray that it should not happen. ask God to help you to take away that kind of mindset. Because the more you think about it, the more you become frustrated and you become traumatized, as we are saying here. So try to keep it away from your mind. I can even say that there are instances where you have met your husband, or you have suspected your husband, or you have even seen, let me say, physically, that this is what is going on. But
Yes.
if you decide to give for silent ear to it, in the
Mm-hmm.
case where you have might be you people have tried to talk about it, and you see that it is still going on, and you know that this man is somebody that who always travels, you will not say
Mm-hmm.
you will abandon your home and you begin to follow the man everywhere that he wants to go. That will not help to solve the situation. If you people have talked
Yes.
about it, if you move to the counselor, you cannot resolve it, my dear sisters, come back home. Just content yourself that you are there in the house. Let the man be. Let silence solve the problem. If he comes back, say that you're welcome. Thank God that you came back. And even don't even talk about it at times. And at some point in time, he will begin to ask you questions. Because from my experience, there are times that my husband could go out, he say he's out for business trips. When I was young, I would ask one or two questions. But when I realized that it will bring us problems, I decided to be silent. It became a problem. Why have you not been asking me why I'm coming back late? So give silence to it, and you feel fine
Mm-hmm.
with yourself. That's what I would
Wow.
say here.
Whew, today has been a really interesting session. And we are looking at trauma, healing, and the way forward. And one thing I can say at this point is that we must usually contact professionals. We should cultivate the attitude of contacting professionals to handle certain situations. In our Cameroon sphere and African sphere and in some parts of the world too, a lot of people normalize traumatic situations or situations that have to do with emotions and the mind to be very normal and light, and it makes a lot of people grow up and stay with wounds. It shapes the way some people behave in a funny manner. Whereas if you speak with a counselor, get close to somebody that you could have a session with, a professional, they could frankly help you. I think this is one thing that we need to take very seriously, because sometimes with your own mindset, you can try to do some things and it might even be more detrimental than what is actually happening. So now I want us to get some final words. Coach BT, I don't know if we left out anything, but I think if you have one more thing to say before we pack our bags out of this live session today, what would that be?
Yeah, if I have anything to add here, Mr. Wickham, is after healing, there is a way forward. And
Yes,
taking into consideration that healing is not something that is immediate, it is a process that has to go on for a long period of time. And with the help
yes,
of counselors,
yes,
once this process is going on, and as Coach B rightly said, you turn your trauma into a strength. What you can build up from your trauma, and then
yes,
that is you try to see if you can empower yourself from your trauma. What actually caused the trauma, and then what lessons did you learn? So what is the way forward here? In the course of the healing, which is a long process, we must admit, what we should
yes,
do now is those suffering from trauma, they should redefine their relationship standards,
yes,
because we are saying that most relationships usually come into existence without people taking time to study each other, to know their flaws, know their strength. So it should now give you that opportunity to redefine the kind of spouse you want. Or if it is in a
yes,
situation, we may talk of trauma in the case where, like Coach B explained, trauma that came from childhood that you were not even the cause of it. At that point in time, look yourself in the mirror and say, apart from this, I still have a purpose in my life. So I still need
Yes.
to achieve certain things. So let me put this aside. And then uh, the people suffering from trauma after healing or in the course of healing should learn to build up personal capacities so that
Yes.
they can stop depending on maybe other people, because most of these traumas might at times arise because people so depend so much on other people, and when they fail they now become frustrated. And then we should also consider setting healthy boundaries.
Yes.
That's one of the way forward. They should set healthy
Yes.
boundaries in whatever thing that they are doing. If you grew up as a child and you suffer from certain things, you can now take a decision that, okay, in my own future relationship, my children will not go through this.
Yes.
And if you were maybe in a relationship and you were ill treated, then you can set some certain boundaries and say, okay, now that I'm out of this relationship, I've set these boundaries. I will never let this happen to me, because trauma does not happen the same day. It usually starts with red flags. And when you notice the red flags, you should be able to react as promptly as you can. And then we should in the course of healing, they should learn to rebuild trust gradually. They should learn to rebuild trust gradually. So gradually, you can decide to start developing trust in a case where trust is broken and you people still find the need of being together. Then that trust
Yes.
should come in gradually. And then, since healing is a continuous process, you should
Yes.
let purpose redefine your life. Any other thing after that trauma, your purpose, you should find purpose. The reason why many people suffer today is because they don't know their purpose. If you know your purpose in life, even if you have encountered trauma, you will still come to that point, as the coach B mentioned, that life is lived in season. You will come to a point that, okay, this was the season of trauma in my life, but this has not come to stop my purpose. I still have to fulfill my purpose in life. So you still go about your normal activities, the other things that you have to do, and then cultivate safe social circles. You have to cultivate safe social circles. In this case, the environment that you lived in, that you cultivated before it landed you into that trauma, you should be able to find how to re-establish other relationships different from those kind of relationships that might have pulled you into those toxic relationships. And then you create a future vision. You should have a future vision. What is that future vision? If I have to live my life now, the lessons that I learned from the trauma that I've just going through and receiving my healings, I will make sure that they should never happen again in my life. So those are some of the things that we should consider before as a way forward, as far as trauma healing and the way forward is concerned.
Wow. This was another very big nail to hit on this way forward, the things we need to really consider. I must say thank you so very much, Coach BT. And Dr. Linda. Dr. Linda, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there, Mr. Wickham.
Please, okay, please, before we pack our bags out, is there what is that one thing you would say to those who are watching, or those who are going to watch this live again?
Okay, to add to what Coach BT has said, I'm going to insist on maybe some few points. I want to say the first thing we have established is that everybody is traumatized. and that everybody has suffered from a traumatic
Yeah.
event. The second thing we have
Yes.
established is that it takes acceptance to start your healing process. Um, um, One thing I want to let everyone to know or to do is take personal time out. Take
Yeah.
personal time out. Take a trip for yourself. Take with you a book and a pen and set yourself into a deep fellowship with yourself. What do I mean by a deep fellowship with yourself? Go through your life stages from stages, evaluating the traumas you have had, place them down, and see the reaction that those things have caused you, and see the way forward of healing. Set yourself new rules or vision, as Coach BT said, and see the way you're going to walk up to attain those objectives. The third thing I want to say, give yourself some standards. Give yourself some standard. Let's say in relationship wise, this is what I want. Health wise, this is what I want. Socially wise, this is what I want. And make sure that those standards you set for yourself are not based on triggers, but are based on lessons you have learned. And the last thing I need to tell you is that love yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. People will love you the way they see you loving yourself. People will treat you with respect the way they
Yes.
see you treating yourself. People will give you importance, the importance you give to yourself. So the first person that positions or gives a vision of people of who you are is the way you regard yourself. So the first thing, that's the last thing. Love yourself, encourage yourself, look for things to do with your life. Let me tell you, for those women that are always worried about their husband cheating, it's because they don't have anything on which they
I
feel they
agree
can
with
hold their husband.
you.
That's why they always worry about yourself. But if your husband knows that you are a competent person, you are a person that can live with or without him, and that it might take you time to maybe rebuild your life, but you can rebuild it. If your husband knows that you can support him in situations and that in some difficulties he can count on you, let me tell you, even when he's tempted, it's going to limit the temptation. But if you're just I'm sorry if that is your function or that is what you do. If you're just a housewife, just cleaning his dressing, it's true you're adding importance to his life, but he doesn't feel the weight of what you carry. So you have to invest in yourself, make yourself important for yourself, and people will see the importance you attach to yourself and limit the trauma they feel they can give you. I think that is what I'm going to say.
Wow. I must say it's really a deep session. And Dr. Linda mentioned something where I'm tempted to equally ask Coach BT for it because you mentioned it not really directly, Coach BT. In 2025, is it advisable for a woman to be a housewife? Just a housewife, sorry.
Yeah, when Coach Linda ended, I really wanted to add something to that in that light.
Yes.
It is not advisable because a housewife, as Coach Linda said, it is true
Yeah.
that you are adding value to his life by keeping his
Yeah.
dresses clean, cooking his food. Now in 2025, those are responsibilities and duties that can be dedicated while you get yourself busy doing other more important things that can support the family financially. Yes. And so I don't think being a housewife is something that is still recommended in 2025.
Okay. Thank you so much, Coach BT. Sisters, work hard and be resourceful. Add value to yourself. Be able to earn something that you can actually be resourceful to yourself and your family. Thank you so very much, Dr. Linda. Thank you so much, Coach BT, and all of our speakers who have been here. Frankly, at one point, I felt the need for us to break first and then digest. This session has been full of has been filled with a lot of knowledge and a lot of deep insights. That at one point we cannot talk about everything today, but subsequently we are going to be bringing them one after another. And I'm glad you have been able to be with us from start up to this moment. And definitely some people are going to join to watch the live session. Take out time to share with someone. Somebody you think is going through a particular situation. One of the ways you can help them is to share such a session with them so that they can listen, they can benefit from the knowledge that was shared. It could just be this life that could save their own life. So thank you so much, and stay glued to more updates. And as we pack our bags out of the studio today, I'm wishing you all a blessed week ahead. Good night and goodbye for today. Blessed evening. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.